Hey guys, this is Corbyn with DSLR Video Shooter, and today we're going to be talking about the DJI Mavic Air. This is the Mavic Air from DJI. It's small, compact, and can go anywhere with you. The 4K video is 100 megabytes per second in H.264 format. The 4K video is limited to 30 frames per second. Though with 2.7K, 1080p, and 720p options, there's higher frame rates like 60 frames per second and 120 frames per second, which gives you that buttery smooth slow motion. Aside from the 4K video, the Mavic Air will capture 12 megapixel photos in DNG RAW or JPEG formats. And despite its size, the Mavic Air is super fast. It has a maximum speed of 42 miles per hour in sport mode, and that puts it faster than the Mavic Pro and the Spark. The battery boasts a flight time of about 21 minutes. The remote has a really smart foldable low profile design, and it fit my iPhone 8 Plus with no problems. The joysticks are detachable, allowing for even better storage in your bag or the DJI bag that comes with the Fly More package. Just like any drone, you'll want to pick up an ND filter. I picked up the Neewer Pro ND16 on Amazon for $10.99. So I've been flying drones for some time now, and I've flown the Phantom 3 Professional, the Phantom 4, the Inspire series, and the Mavic Pro as well, and I was pleasantly surprised at how well this held its own. The best part about it obviously is the portability and how it just fits into a small bag. And I recently had a trip to India where I was helping produce a documentary, and we took that with primarily because of the size. It was a no-brainer to throw it in the bag and then get some really great epic shots that normally we would have left the drone at home because of the size and the extra Pelican case that we would have had to take with on the trip. This just enabled us to throw it in the backpack, get the shots, get out of there, and keep moving on, and that I loved. So it has this feature called Quick Shots, and there's 6 different modes: the rocket, the droney, circle, helix, asteroid, and boomerang. So I really love the Quick Shots. Although some of them are a little bit gimmicky, they worked out quite well. And the active track on this is pretty incredible as well. I went out to the field here at my house and tracked my kids on their dirt bikes. So I think I gained too much confidence in the obstacle avoidance because I switched it over to Quick Shot. I think it was in the boomerang mode, and I must have had something wrong, and I'd love to hear from you what I was doing wrong, but...
Addy mode.
Apparently, you're not supposed to do those Quick Shot modes and by trees. Did it survive? A few scratches. Oh, the propeller. I'm just gonna switch an extra propeller out real quick and get back to it. What's interesting is that these right here, when it crashed, it went boom. These went in, so prevents it from breaking. It's not too bad considering we just rammed it right into a tree. So I'm out here in the field, so I apologize for this iPhone video, but we're gonna just take this, we're gonna push down and go the opposite way that it says. Pretty easy. I mean, I literally crashed this thing like pretty bad. I'm maybe a little too aggressive, but there we go. We're ready to fly again. What I liked about the Quick Shot modes is that it automated a lot of what you would normally want to capture on your own in the past. No matter what wizardry is going on with DJI, and what they're going to be working on in the future, you're still going to need to practice and put in the work to become a good drone pilot. And here are a couple of tips that I would suggest. The number one thing I would recommend if you're just starting out as a drone pilot is to not fly like this. A lot of guys spend a bunch of coin on a drone and they consistently fly with their necks up, looking at the at the drone, trying to figure out the remote and the controls, and it's just a really bad habit. So eventually you're gonna learn to fly where it's not in line of sight. And so if you have this habit of always looking around, you're still gonna crash because you get backwards and the drone is facing you and the remote becomes backwards. But if you're always looking at your screen and you're always looking at your video feed, you're gonna be a much more successful pilot, and you're gonna avoid having a sore neck looking around trying to find that thing. It's very nerve-wracking, I know, when you just dropped a bunch of money on something like this. You wanna kind of see where you're at, but just keep an eye on your surroundings and then keep your head buried in the remote. The other thing I would suggest is to slow down and find a different perspective. My favorite thing about piloting is that it's part adrenaline rush and part cinematography. When you first take off, you've got the risk of crashing and the risk of getting busted, and the clock is ticking with your battery running down. And I really enjoy combining a bit of adrenaline with cinematography. And then try to get the perspective that no one else can. They sell drones at Target and Walmart now. So it's our job as cinematographers to get shots that are intentional, thought out, and that are part of the story. I think you need to be selective and need to use those shots sparingly. I recently did a documentary with a football player, and we used the drone shots to open the video and invited the audience to come with us. I really like the Mavic Air. It's one of my favorite drones that I've flown with. It's small, obviously it's portable, and it can go anywhere with me. The only thing I would say is kind of a negative against it is that the distance. It would seem, especially in India, when I was trying to go a little bit further away from where we were, it would lose video transmission, and that gave me a minor panic attack, being in a different country, and I didn't want to lose it. But if you're going to be going long distances with it, meaning if you're going to fly far away out of line of sight, which you're not supposed to, I would recommend doing the Mavic Pro. Now, when I'm in an open field, yeah, it'll go pretty far because there is kind of technically line of sight. But if you're not gonna be within line of sight and you're gonna go a long distance, go with the Mavic Pro. But what I loved about it is obviously the portability. And that thing will go with me anytime I have a shoot now, because there's kind of no excuse. It takes up so little room. I really believe that the more that technology can get out of the way, the better we become as storytellers. It also means that we have less of an excuse. Right now, the technology got in my way. I was shooting some of this in the A6500 or the A6300. It overheated and pissed me off, and the technology got in the way, and so I've been distracted trying to fix that. The thing I love about the DJI Mavic Air is that the technology gets out of the way. It allows me to be a better storyteller and to actually enjoy the moment.